it's the distal bump, so there's the epicondyle, there's the joint surface. Remember we were talking about osteochondritis dissecans, we feel right between the radial head and the capitulum, and then that's the radial head. You're looking to see is there tenderness there. And so I want to remind everybody, so we have 3 wrist extensors, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, and extensor carpi ulnaris. They all originate from the lateral epicondyle, but the extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi radialis brevis also has fibers that attach to the posterior part of the radial head, right on the annular ligament. And so when you do backhand tennis elbow, especially if you like to play in the rain when the tennis ball weighs 5 pounds, and you're not very good, so it hits the rim, and the racket's the wrong size, and I'm hitting it early or late, that's all these bad things, then that pulls the radial head posteriorly. And so next hour, we're going to be looking at adjusting the posterior radial head, oftentimes related to tennis elbow. Now, what we also want to do is we want to find the supinator muscle and feel to see if there might be entrapment of the radial nerve, and so this is the posterior interosseous branch of the radial nerve, deep branch of the radial nerve, as it goes through the canal frus or the radial tunnel. So now your fingers need to be a little more delicate. So here's the epicondyle, here's all his wrist extensors. I want to feel the muscle bellies of the wrist extensors. See right there I'm going over one of the bellies, can you feel that? Right? And I want to get between the muscle bellies, and I want to go down about an inch. So here's the epicondyle, so about in here. So I'm feeling between the two, and then you want to dig your finger in and say, is that tender? Good news. Some of you it'll be tender. And is that tender? Not really. Teeny bit doesn't count. It's significant when it's there. And that's our best ability to identify a radial tunnel nerve entrapment. And of course, that's the radial nerve and specifically the posterior interosseous branch, because most of the time it doesn't radiate. It's the one time with a nerve entrapment where you don't find radiation as part of the finding, which is why it gets missed so often and gets misdiagnosed as being tennis elbow, because it causes that lateral elbow pain, and why it's also called resistant tennis elbow. Remember, a tennis elbow strap will tend to make it worse. Some cases you can resist supination or stretch and pronation, and you'll find that it aggravates, but most cases aren't severe enough for that to be a positive finding. Most significant in your fingers. So what I want you to do is to find these 2 structures. These are the wrist extensions. I want you to just grasp for me. Feel the muscles that contract, so you know that, okay, now relax. Between the muscle bellies. And then go deep, about an inch inferior to the epicondyle. See if it's tender. Let's get into pairs and practice this.